Hello everyone, Amanda here. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm going to work on the inside covers of my soft autumn journal. I'm going to show you step by step how you can add extra memory keeping elements to your journals. And I'm going to show you step by step. I'm going to give you all the measurements. So grab a pencil and paper because I will give the measurements as I do the tutorial. So go grab yourself a pen and paper. I'll wait a second. Now, this is very simple, very easy, but it's going to allow you to add space for up to 22 photographs. You could squeeze extra in, okay? And it's also fun. It's very, very simple and easy to learn, okay? And I'm going to give you the sizes. Now, my journal is sized for A4. I'm going to tell you how to resize everything if you are a US letter size user, so please listen carefully. But it's not difficult. Okay, so this is what we've got. We've got this lovely shaped pocket, beautifully embellished. I'm going to show you everything. We've got a little ephemera piece there. We've got room for 4 photos there. We've got a full 5x7 photo mat, double-sided. And then we've got this turnover photograph element here. Okay, very, very simple. Very easy to make. I'm going to show you step by step, and you can make this using any papers. I'm using my soft autumn collection. I will link it in the description box below if you are interested. So we're going to go to the back and we're going to mirror image what I've done at the front. So the first thing you need, and I've already cut this, is if you're working in A4, you need a piece of cardstock that measures 6 7/8 by 4 1/4. Then you're going to score on each short end at 1/2 inch and on one long side, down one long side at 1/2 inch. So you've got your 3 scores to make a pocket. Then I have used the envelope punch board to make those shapes. I will tell you how you can do it if you don't have the envelope punch board. So I've taken the piece, I haven't folded any of these flaps yet, and I've gone in at 1 3/4 inches and punched. Then I've turned it around 1 3/4 inches again and punch. Then you put it in your trimmer or use your scissors and cut away that section there. Now, if you are a letter size user, how I have sized this is I have taken the width of my journal cover up to the fold. I've taken that measurement and I've knocked 1/8 of an inch off. That's to make sure that it doesn't encroach on your fold. Okay, so width of your cover minus 1/8, that is the width. Okay, the height remains the same as mine at 4 1/4, and the punch marks, if you're using the envelope punch board, are 1 3/4 each side, just the same. Now, if you don't have the envelope punch board, what you can do is whilst it's, you know, none of the flaps are folded in, you can go in at 1 1/2, make a mark. Do that at each side, and then if you just go down 1/2 inch, okay, do it on the back and draw yourself the little rectangles. Okay, so 1 1/2 and then 1/2 inch, and then cut away the rectangle. Okay, it will still look just as nice. Or you can just do a thumb notch with a circle punch if you don't feel confident. Okay, so then to mat this, you need a piece that is 1/4 inch. So if you fold and burnish these, okay, tuck them out of the way, I'll do the cutting. So where the score lines are, you cut across the X at an angle, cut across the X at an angle. When they're folded over, make sure they don't overlap. Okay, then you want to measure your pocket. Now, if you're an A4 user, you want the same size as me. So my paper layer measures, have I written it down? My paper layer measures 5 5/8 by 3 1/4. If your pocket is being done different to mine because you're a letter size user, measure the full size of your pocket and cut your paper to 1/4 inch shorter on the length and 1/4 inch shorter on the height. That's all, and that will give you that nice increment. So then to do our notching, we're going to go in at 1 inch. Now, I find that because my envelope punch board is quite old, it doesn't like punching thin paper. So I will put a piece of scrap card behind just to help it along. Okay, so I'm going to put that up to 1 inches and I'm going to punch. Then I'm going to turn it around. That one, you know, I have to do it backwards. I've been doing some stamping on the back of this paper. It's a scrap piece. Turn it around and do... No, I've got it upside down. No, I haven't. That's just my card. I thought I'd got it wrong then. Turn it around. I was panicking. 1 inch. Okay, get it flush up. And punch. All right. And then you're going to do the same and trim that away with your trimmer. Okay, or use scissors. Now, I'm not always very good at this. I don't always get it fully accurate, but don't worry. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. Okay. I've just about managed it there. And that gets you the correct increments to fit in there. Okay. So then all you need to do is glue that on. Did I ink that one? Yeah, I'm just going to quickly ink it. Sorry about this. Everything else is inked, but I couldn't ink this ahead of time because it wasn't cut. All right, so I'll just very quickly add a little bit of ink there. I'm not inking the cardstock layer, did I? I did. I did ink the cardstock layer. Okay, I'm just going to fold that out while I glue my layer on because it's just going to make my life a little bit easier. And glue on there and glue on there. Okay, and we're going to obviously layer that on, making sure we've got a nice neat border up all the way around, and that'll do for me. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly just ink this, and I'm using what am I using here? I'm actually using the wrong one. This is watering can. I previously used shadow grey, but it's just what I've grabbed, so it's just going to be a little bit of a different shade to my front, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, move those out of the way. Just checking that I've got no overlap. I've got slight overlap there, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit closer. Just trim a bit off, because I don't want... If they overlap like that, then you're going to have bulk and it's not going to lay down flat. Okay? I'm going to give that a nice, firm burnish. And then we're going to add this to the back. And you do exactly the same for the front. So you make 2 of everything. Okay? It makes things quicker and easier if we've just got the one design and we use it twice. Okay, plenty on. So this wants to go, okay, you want to put it as close to the bottom as you can and kind of centralize it. So you'll have a teeny tiny gap at this side and you should not be anywhere near the fold on that side. Okay, if you lift it up, you'll see that you've got a little increment. Okay, get it straight and commit. Now, one thing I did miss out is what you can do is before you glue all of this down, if you put some washi tape over that bottom flap, then it'll stop things getting stuck, but I forgot. Then I've got a paper layer. So I've just cut this to a 1/4 inch shorter on the width than my cover. 1/4 inch shorter, whatever size paper you're using. And then for the height, you just need to make sure it's going to go inside your pocket. It doesn't need to go the full length. So you just need to make sure it's long enough to go in there. And we're doing this first. Because if you add your photo mat elements before you add your paper, then you've got a paper piece around it. So it's easier to just put your paper down and then put your photo mats over the top. Otherwise you're doing fiddly little cuts and trying to match things up, and it makes your life... It's not impossible, I've done it before, but it makes your life easier if you just do this. So this wants to go inside your pocket. Make sure you're over the top of the pocket flaps and not sliding underneath them. Okay, line it up nicely so that you've got a neat increment top and side. Don't worry about there really too much. This is where your eye is going to go if it's wonky. All right, and that's that bit done. So then you're going to need your photo mats. So listen carefully. Your first one is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Cut that out and glue that on straight away so that you don't get confused. Okay. And this wants to be kind of central in this bit here. Okay, so kind of central. Again, I'm not measuring it, I'm eyeballing it, but kind of central. So fairly even, top and sides. All right, then you want to cut 2 pieces, and these measure, what do they measure? 4 3/4? 4 3/4 by 4 1/4. You want 2. So along the 4 3/4 inch side, you score at 1/2 inch. And then when that's folded in, you should have a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 mat to put a 4 by 4 photo. Okay, and you want 2. And we're just going to burnish those so that they lie nice and flat. And all you do is you glue this flap right over the top of that one. Okay. Doesn't matter if you use white card or black card or whether you print out patterned card. It's the same principle, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to lift this down so that I can see and my big messy hair doesn't get in the frame because I'm doing this in real time. Okay, so you can line it up with the mat underneath. You'll know whether it's in straight. Let me just wipe my hands. And then you can give that a burnish. Just lift it up, make sure you haven't got too much seepage, and then it looks even and it's lining up, and it is. So then you do the same with the next one and you're just gluing it right over the top of that one. So it's not a waterfall, it's a kind of like, I don't know what you call it, it's just a flip, photo mat flip, but it's cute. Okay, I wouldn't do too many of these on top of each other, but we're only doing, you know, 2, so it's not too bulky. Okay, get that lined up with the one underneath. You can see there, and that's all lined up nicely. Okay, and again, and that's that section there done. Okay, now I've decorated the front further. I'm not going to do it on camera because I don't want the video to be too long, but I've decorated those a little bit by just adding 1/2 inch strips of paper on that first one, and then on the second one just at the bottom, and on the third one just at the bottom. And I've used my little photographic stamp, which I got from, I don't know, Amazon. Okay, then you've got your 5 by 7 photo mat here. Line it with your patterned paper. So this measures 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and your paper layer is 1/4 inch shorter, and that's the same whether you are US letter size or A4. So it's 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and your matting layer there is 5 by 7. That then holds a 5 by 7 photo. Okay, and that slips in there. Okay, so let's go to the back. So that slips in there. Okay, I'll just grab it in. And this is why I added the paper piece to the front, so that it's just got a little bit of colour peeking out there rather than just the plain white, but that's optional. Okay, you can layer the whole thing with patterned paper if you want, but you're going to put a photo on it, so I didn't feel the need. Then I just grabbed a little butterfly. This is optional. And I added a little butterfly there just for a little bit of embellishment. Okay. Then you've got your 2 little photo mats you want to prep. So these measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And then your photo mat layer is 2 by 2. cute little photo shapes. Then I've got a fussy cut embellishment here. I'd advise that you either print them on lightweight cardstock, or if you're printing them on paper, cut it out as a rectangle, glue the whole rectangle onto cardstock, and then when it's dry, fussy cut the whole thing out. Okay, so for the tuck, I've gotten a 1-inch strip of leftover patterned paper. Okay, and I'm going to create, I think am I going to do it to the other side? I think I'm going to do it to the other side. So at the front, we've got the embellishment on the left, and at the back, I'm going to put it on the right. Okay, so my 1-inch, I'm not really worried about the length at the moment. I'll decide on the length at in a moment. So 1-inch strip, cut up the middle from the corner. This is my favourite way to just quickly embellish, using up your leftovers and scraps. Did I ink it? Yeah. Quickly ink. Just helps it stand out. Just looks a little bit more finished, but you don't have to ink. Sometimes I don't. So now I'm just going to think whereabouts I want it and how long I want it. Bearing in mind, I'm also going to do a white cardstock layer. Okay, so I want it about there. Yeah. So I'm just going to grab a pencil, and I'm going to do a little mark here. And I am going to just quickly do that with my trimmer, because if I do it with my scissors, it won't be straight because I've got wonky eyes. Okay, so that's that. Then I've grabbed a piece of scrap leftover white card, and I'm going to, you could just cut it to 1 1/4, but I sometimes find that if you just do things using the trimmer, the increment doesn't always please my eye, so I like to hand cut it. But you can just cut a strip of white card at either 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, okay, to make this process a little bit quicker. All right, so I'm layering it on there, leaving myself a little increment. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut this away, but I'm going to cut it quite far down there. Don't cut it right up here, because you need to get in to do the angle of the, and this is to make sure that they're both the same or as similar as you can get. You can use a banner punch if you like, but I try not to use my punches too much in case, you know, you guys don't have them. I show you how to do everything by hand, the long old-fashioned way, and then if you don't have the special tools, I'm confident that you can still get the same results. So I'm just going to cut straight up the middle there, and you'll notice I've left quite a long white piece. And that's so that you've got room to get that angle right. If you cut this too short, you won't get that nice angle. Okay, so I'm going there, and then here I'm going there. Yep, I'm not happy with the angle of that. Let me get some shorter scissors and get that angle a bit neater, because I am fussy. I always say it doesn't need to be perfect, but I have to try and do mine the best that I can, but it doesn't matter, okay? So then with this, what you want to do is we're going to put it on here. I'll just get that pencil mark off of there, because that's bugging me. All right, so we're going to glue just down the side of this banner, okay, and along the bottom. And I know everybody's going to ask what glue I'm using. I am using the Nouveau glue. Nouveau Deluxe Adhesive Clear Drying Craft Glue. And it comes with quite a fine nozzle. And you can also buy extra fine tip nozzle lids to go on them. Okay, so I'm going to put this, where did I put that one? Quite close to the bottom. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to go, and I'm overlapping that, going past this green layer just a little bit, okay, just a little bit, in fact near enough up to the edge of the pocket, because it just gives the impression of layers then, okay. So we can give that a burnish, okay, but we've left this bit open, okay, for tucking. Let's see if I've got another little one of these that we can have. We'll have Cherish, that's nice, okay. Okay, so now you get your embellishment, and you plan where you're going to have this, because you don't want this hanging over the edge or it'll get beat up, okay. So I'm going to have it about there so I know I want glue just on this section here and maybe on here. Okay, so down here, I'm going to do these little fiddly bits and along the bottom. Okay, but I don't want glue that's going to go in this area here. All right, and that will go on there nicely. You can embellish that further with some glitter. I added glitter to my front cover here. Can you see it sparkling? That was stickles, and I always use the same one, diamond stickles. Perfect. Or Wink of Stella or whatever you've got. So let me just feel like those needed moving about. I don't know why, because it's made absolutely no difference. And then just as a little finishing touch, I've got one of the words from the collection. And it says, obviously, autumn. And I have inked it. And that can just go nicely central on there. And then all I've got left to do is add those little strips. So that gives you your lovely photographic elements, and you've now got room for 22 photos, along with all of your lovely journaling pages, so that you've got a wide range of memory keeping. So I'll do a full flip through. I've got a few more things to do, and I'll do a full flip through tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.